That's right. Okay, Rabotai. So, so we read one of the first sources says it's okay to mess up some of the berachot, except for three of them. Mechayei Metim, Zedim, and Bonei Yerushalayim. But halakha l'maaseh, maybe we should do this next week. Get the halakha. Maybe next week we'll do the follow-up and make sure, because I don't want to tell people the wrong halakha. Okay. What was it?
Before the censor, they censored it.
I wish they brought sources for further reference. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the next yud. I have to tell you from the beginning. Yeah, I have to tell you all from the beginning, Rabotai, that this is not my typical type of yud as you've come to know me over the years. This is not my comfort zone, what I'm about to do. I like thought-provoking, that's why you stuck around. But I have switched it up, and you'll see why in a minute. So I hope you like it. Be a little different. I don't mind going out of my comfort zone a little bit. Okay. As we said on Shabbat, vaychi, Sefer Bereshit is now over. And I called it, if you were here with us on Shabbat, it's the book of the fathers. Sefer Bereshit is the Sefer Ha'avot and the Imahot. It's the book of our mothers and the book of our fathers. And the Ramban is very famous for saying, Nachman is with an N. He's very famous for saying, Ma'aseh avot siman lebanim. And people take that literally, that history always repeats itself. Kabbalistically, you can take it, that they inspire us. There's a lot of ways to take it. It also means on a basic derech musar level, they're teaching us. The parents are teaching us with their words. We read the words of Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. We read these words from these people, and they're so powerful to literally change our lives today. I want to do something we've done in the past, based on the teachings of Rabbi Victor Miller, to sort of sum up the whole Sefer Bereshit. And if you've been with us long enough here, you might be able to do it yourself. But we'll do it again. Rabbi Victor Miller, I love a lot of his stuff, but I love the way he attacks and studies the Perashah of the Torah. He takes kind of like a pshat, like an Ibn Ezra path, Rashbam almost, like a very pshat path, and it's very refreshing. We find ourselves right now in the Perashah in Egypt. Next week already is Shemot, which means we're working our way out of Egypt. The whole purpose of being in Egypt was to get out of Egypt. Hashem put us in there in order to redeem us, and now we have to have gratitude for Hashem. The whole purpose to get out of Egypt is to get the Torah. Okay. We would not be in Egypt, we would not survive in Egypt if Yosef HaTzadik wasn't in charge. Only because Yosef was in charge of the food, he fed us, and we survived during the famine that was all the Ra'av Ba'aretz, was all over. So thank God Yosef was in Egypt. Yosef would not be in Egypt if he wasn't sold there as a slave. Yosef would not have been sold as a slave if his brothers didn't hate him. His brothers wouldn't have hated him if his father didn't treat him special. His father only treated him extra special because he came from the mother that he loved most. He only came from a mother that was loved most. In other words, there was another mother that wasn't loved as most because Yaakov had more than one wife. Yaakov was the only one to have more than one wife from the beginning, from the fathers. Why? Why did he marry more than one wife? Because he was tricked by Laban. He didn't want to. Okay. Yaakov was only tricked from Laban because he had to find himself in Laban's house. Well, why was he in Laban's house? He had to be in Laban's house because he had to run away from Esav. Okay? Why was he running away from Esav? He had to run away from Esav because Esav wanted to kill him. All right? Why did Esav want to kill him? Esav only wanted to kill him because he stole the blessings. Why did he steal the blessings? He stole the blessings only because Rivka Imenu told him to. And so you see, half of the book of Bereshit and the entire destiny of the Jewish people is based on the words of one woman, Rivka. What she said. It's the woman, the credit goes to the woman. All these events played out because Rivka Imenu says to. And he didn't want to do it. And she said, do it anyway. Alai kilelatecha beni. We just played it backwards, now we'll play it forwards. Because Rivka tells him to do it and he doesn't want to, and he steals the blessing, Esav hates him. Since Esav hates him, he has to run out of town. Otherwise, he would have stayed in town and he would have done a mail order bride just like his father did. Yitzhak's bride came to him, Rivka came to him. Right? And so Yaakov would never have left town. He would have stayed right where he was. He only had to run out of town because he stole the blessings and Esav hated him because his mother told him to. Once he was out of town, Laban tricked him, and he married two wives. Well, once that happened, he loved one more than the other. And once Rachel had a son Yosef, he loved Yosef 10 times more than the other ones. And all the sons saw that and hated him because of it. So it took a little dream to spark the fire because they already hated him because he was from the loved mother. And once that happened, they sold him down to Egypt. And once he was sold down to Egypt, he became the ruler, and then he became the sustainer. And now, before you know it, he's the reason we're all alive. Alai kilelatecha beni. All the words of one woman, Rivka, it's all on me. Alai kilelatecha beni. You're afraid of being cursed? I'll take care of it. Alai kilelatecha beni. Yesterday, Baruch Hashem, we named our new daughter B'mazal Tov, and we named her Rivka. When my wife and I were going through her names, which is not an easy thing for us to do because we have very different tastes when it comes to names. When we saw Rivka and she offered Rivka, I grabbed it immediately because Rivka is the destiny of the entire Jewish nation. Rivka has the courage to tell Yaakov, do what makes you uncomfortable. I know it's for the best. And because of her, the whole history changed. Sometimes the power of a mother or a father, maybe they don't even know their own power when they say it. But like the Ramban says, "Ma'aseh avot siman habanim," there is some sort of a power inside of a parent to help the children more than they can imagine. There's a famous story. Actually, it's not so famous. If you know him and you listen to his stuff, you've heard it for sure. His name is Don Gramesian. You know him? Don Gramesian. You know? Yeah, he's good. Did he say the story about the Paleoites? Okay. Don Gramesian, so the Gramesian family is a very well-to-do family. It's a very prominent family. They own America Dream Mall. They own a lot of different things. Don, he's a guy. He's not a rabbi. He's a religious guy, but he's just a guy. He's a good guy. He's the CEO of all the real estate and the malls for the Gramesian family. Talking about a very, very wealthy and well-to-do family. And so I heard the story from him. When they were doing the American Dream Mall, and they were trying to get fashion boutique shops to rent space in their malls. And so they want to attract these high-end customers to take spots in the walls. And so it was one of his promoters or the person helping him with marketing and sales told him there's going to be an event in Manhattan. This was like in January, a few years ago. There's going to be an event Saturday night. This is on a Friday. He's telling this to Don Gramesian. He heard about an event that's going to take place on the rooftop of the Standard Hotel, which is actually one of our customers in my other job. The rooftop of the Standard Hotel. It's called the Boom Boom Room. There's going to be an event there. All the top fashion design CEOs are all going to be there. I have a chance to get you in with some tickets to get to this party. On the rooftop, at the table right next to all the big-time fashion designers where they're going to be sitting. You have to go to this event. He said, not only that, it's going to be the party of a lifetime. In addition to all the CEOs, they're importing all the most beautiful models from all around the world. There's going to be drinks, there's going to be great music, it's going to be the party of a lifetime, and a chance to really do good business. So Don says he comes home Friday night, and they have a family dinner very often, very, very big family. And so he comes home Friday night, he goes over to 7 of the gentlemen, of the boys from the family, who are all involved in this side of the business. And he says, guys, tomorrow night, Saturday night, after Shabbat, we're going to Manhattan on the rooftop of the Standard. It's going to be an amazing opportunity. And they said, what did the guy tell you? Tell us about it. He said, well, on the rooftop is going to be the fashion designers. They're bringing in all these models. It's crazy. He said 7 of the men, 5 were married, 2 were single. But they're religious. They're not going to do anything wrong. And they're all talking about the opportunity. It's going to be really good for business. He says, right before Minha, the next day on Shabbat, right before he left for Minha, his mother comes over to him. And his mother says, Don, I was thinking about what you told the boys last night at the Shabbat table, Friday night. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. You can do so well. And finally get some great clients renting space in the mall. And he also mentioned music, drinks, models from all over the world walking around. And I've been thinking about the entire Shabbat. And I want to ask you, do you think Hashem wants you to go to this party? And I know you're religious. You're not going to do anything wrong. Let's say you were to go. Do you think Hashem wants you to take 7 of your nephews to the party? Men? 2 of them are not married. 5 are married. You just ask them the question. He said, Ma, you're killing me. Now he starts thinking about it. He goes to pray Minha. And he says, instead of going and staying in the shul for Sudash Lishit, he's going to go home because he has to think about what he's about to do in about 45 minutes. He goes up to his room and he's reading a book. Every single day he's going through a few pages. It's the Paleo-Yoetz, which we've read in this class a few times. The Paleo-Yoetz in English. He says, Hashem, I'm religious. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to bring my wife. I'm not going to do anything wrong. But my mother's putting doubts in my head. I don't know what's right and what's wrong. I need it for the business. I have to make panasah. We have all these malls with empty spaces. It's very expensive. If I can bring a couple of these top designers, I'll attract so many more people. He says, you know what, Hashem, I don't usually do this. I want you to send me a sign. See this Paleo-Yoetz that I'm reading? I'm going to open up to any page. Give me a sign. Yes, I should go. No, I shouldn't go. And he opens the Paleo-Yoetz. Here's my Paleo-Yoetz from my house. He opens the Paleo-Yoetz, and he opens right to this page. I heard the story straight from him. And he writes here to the page of Avelut, mourning. M-O-U, mourning. And the Paleo-Yoetz are talking about how we have to be sad that we lost the Bet HaMikdash. And he says, Kol Adam, Elo Hayav Ela Kishi'oro. Everyone has their obligation to think about their part in the world and what they're missing. He should imagine to himself, Ki'ilu imo hagurat sak, as if his mother is wearing sackcloths, lobeshet shehorim, wearing dark clothes, umit'atefet shehorim, wrapped in dark clothes, sor'eket mara kol berama, screaming with a piercing cry, menahemet kayona, like a dove. Mahalashon omenet, and what is his mother saying? What should you imagine your mother saying? Kalani miroshi, kalani miziroi, the pain in my head, the pain in my arms. Banim gidati, I raised sons. Vinomamti, and I lifted them up. Vehem pashe ubi, and they're rebelling against me. V'chazot ha'hayitenu libot devarim ha'mehamarim et halev. This is how you should think about when you're to yourself. V'yishpoch et nafsho b'kol yalala, and you should pour your soul out with cries. Umimotza davar, says the Pele Yoetzer of Papo, Rabbi Eliezer Papo. Umimotza davar, ata tishma kama rav amar ma'aseh. From these thoughts, from this matter, you can also come to another conclusion. Kama rav amar ma'aseh. How bad and evil is this action she'osim kisat anashim onashim, that some men or women do? Shemidva'adim yahad, they gather together, the small b'simchat mireut. They gather together to enjoy happy friendships, bilele motza'eh Shabbat, on Saturday nights, ubish'ar lelot, and other nights, ubifrat belelot ha'choref, especially in the nights of the winter. This is January. Umarbim b'simcha shel hevel, they increase with all sorts of nonsense happiness. Ochlim, they eat, v'shotim, and they drink. They sing improper songs. Oy lahim, woe unto them. Aha alehim. Ki beli safek, without a doubt, hasimcha letuga yafech lahem. The happiness will flip, God forbid, into sorrow. And so Don Gramesium, he says, he goes back to shul, he says, boys, Saturday night's off. Suffice it to say, they're doing just fine in business. Now, the mother, the power of his mother, is she a prophetess? What she is she's a Jewish mother. And Hashem builds into our DNA wisdom, conscious or subconscious, wisdom from our parents to help us more than they can imagine. Rivka tells Yaakov, Alai kilatecha beni, it's all on me. Maybe it means a lot more than she even thinks it means. If you have parents, treasure them. If you don't have parents, are you a parent? If you're a parent, you're the new Rivka. You don't have to have prophecy, but Hashem gives each of us power to help our children. Why am I saying this? Because now I want to say a personal story. And again, this is not my style usually. I'm not really this type of a story, sigula, open a book type guy. But I had a baby this week, thank God. We named her yesterday, and it's time to give me a little flavor. Because this story I heard from Don Gramesium himself, which is good, but it didn't happen to me, it happened to him. But I'll tell you a story that happened exactly to me. And I have some show and tell to help me with it. Baruch Hashem, this is our 6th child. Can I know her? Thank you. No one said, can you do? Thank you for saying that. We have had, Baruch Hashem, normal, healthy deliveries every single time. No C-sections, thank God. My 5th child, Michelle, she was breached. She was upside down up to the last second, and then she switched around. You can't have a normal delivery if she's upside down. You have to try to switch them around, or a C-section. This baby, we kept going for checkups every week, and now she has a name, Rivka, Ruby, we're going to call her in English, Rivka, Ruby. This baby was breached for basically the entire 9th month and part of the 8th month, which means the baby's upside down. And every time we went, we said, is the baby still breached? The baby's still breached. We really don't. I don't want a C-section. I was praying to Hashem. I don't want to do C-section. We've never done it. Just let us go. Thank God, 6 for 6. I don't deserve it, but I don't want to deal with it. Every time we went back, I prayed Hashem every single day. I have the Sidur Hida. Actually, we talked about the Hida before. I have my Sidur is the Sidur Hida, and he has tefillot in the back. I've told Helen about before. It's all sorts of tefillot in the back, and I have one I've used for all my children. Every time we go back throughout the 9th month, the baby's still breached. So we're given a deadline, because if you go too far, the baby keeps growing. There's not enough fluid left inside for the baby to turn around on their own. So it has to reach a certain deadline where they say, you know what, either they turn around themselves, or we're going to turn them around, or we're going to schedule you for a C-section, because there's not enough fluid to do the switch. Not enough room to move around. Okay. And so I tell my mom, now my mother is, let's just say, a very Sephardi Syrian woman. Okay, she's very Sephardi. She watches all my shiurim, so I have to be careful what I say. But I'll just say, she's come to visit me with a cup of water that she brought all the way from New Jersey, some sort of rainwater, the first rain of the season. So my mom is very into sigulot. God bless her. I'm not like that at all. You couldn't find someone more opposite than that. But my mom says, how's the baby? This is like in the beginning of the 9th month, halfway through the 9th month. I said, Mom, the baby's still breached. I don't want a C-section. I really don't want to cut her up. We've never done that. She says, listen, I'm going to tell you what to do. I said, Ma, don't start, please. She said, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. First, I want you to hang up right now, go check all the mezuzot in your house, see if one is upside down. If they're all good, I want you to check your sifarim and your sidurim in your house. I guarantee you one is upside down, and that's why the baby's upside down. I said, Ma, do you know who you're talking to here? You know, I don't believe in these things. I don't believe in heebie-jeebies. But kibud avayim, I do believe in kibud avayim. I said, Ma, you know what? As much as it pains me to do it, I'm going to hang up. I'm going to go do it. But I also want you to know something. I said, I don't know about other people. Maybe other people, Sefarim, are sitting on the shelves collecting dust. My Sefarim, we're talking about babies. My Sefarim are my babies. I love my Sefarim. When you open my Sefarim, even 10, 15 years later, the crack, you hear the crack from the bottom. I don't break the crack. I love my Sefarim. I said, Mom, I guarantee you every one of my Sefarim is perfect. There's no hiccup throwing the Sefer upside down. I love my books. She said, do it. I went around the house. I took all the scrolls out of all the mezuzot. They're all fine. Everything's fine. My wife says, now go check the books like your mom asked. I go check all the books. My books are perfect. I know my book. I use my books. I called her back. I said, Ma, I'm sorry. You lost this one. I'm sorry, this igula. It's not going to work for me. She said, you're wrong. I said, Ma, I'm not wrong. She said, you're wrong. You're going to find it. Call me when you find it. I said, okay, let's talk about the next subject. Now we go back to the doctor, and the doctor tells us the baby has 1 more week to turn over. If she doesn't turn over within the next week, this was on a Thursday. If she doesn't turn over on the next week, the following Thursday, we're scheduling you to come in here. We're going to try to turn her from the outside. And if that's successful, great. A lot of times when we try that, it bursts the water, the fluid, and then you have to have delivery, which means C-section. So it's a double appointment. It's an appointment to try to flip it. At the same time, we're ready for C-section immediately. And I really didn't want to, I was crying. I don't want C-section. I don't want them to cut my wife. Maybe some people have had it. I mean, God bless you if you have. We've never done it, and I wanted it to stay that way. So I said to my wife, 1 week left. That's it. Okay, and I think I even told you, Moshe Yossi, I said, hey, I have a schedule this week. We might have the baby. We don't know. That was what it was all about. And so now it's Friday night. This was Thursday, Friday night. The Friday night before the end of the deadline. What do I do Friday night? I study Friday night. First of all, I have to read the whole Torah the next day, the whole Pirashah. So I'm studying the Pirashah, I'm studying, and sometimes I study more. I go late. It's like 11 o'clock at night, 11:30. I said, time to go to sleep. I do Kriyat Shema Sha'alamita. And then I said to myself, you know what? Everyone else is sleeping. I said, you know what? Let's do one more check. One more check for all my books and my Sifarim. Maybe my mom's not as crazy as I think she is. And so I go around to all my Sifarim, as we say in Yiddish, b'jannin we say. It's beautiful. Everything's perfect. And then I have this like top shelf on my bookshelf where I have like a menorah and like a shofar and stuff. And I see in the corner some small Sifarim up there. Now I know what the Sifarim are. I've never opened them. Now I should have warned you before because it's going to be a story within a story. I'm sorry. And I see these Sifarim. These. Now, what are these Sifarim? And I go to look and I say, oh, what about those? I forgot about those Sifarim. Now, why do I not know? I thought my Sifarim are my babies. I'll tell you in a second. And sure enough, this one's upside down. One. All right, so I brought the show and tell for you. This one's upside down. It's called Torah Tabayit, the Torah of the house. I said, oh my God, she was right. There's one that's upside down. I said, I have to turn it over and then I'm going to go to sleep. So I take the book and I turn it upside down and I go like this to put it back. And I said, wait a second. I know who wrote this Sefer. These Sefarim were written by the Hafetz Haim. I know who wrote the Sefer. I've never read the Sefer. What a chutzpah for me to take his Sefer, say, thank you very much. I'm going to turn it upside down so my baby turns upside down when I never even opened the book to read anything. So I better read it and study from the Sefer first. Now, story within a story. I told you this is going to be an unusual day. Why do I not know what these Sefarim are? I'll tell you why. One day, I would say maybe 16, 17 months ago, around a year and a half ago. These stories, guys, they happened to me. It's not just some random, once upon a time. A lady who listens to my classes calls me. And she says, I want to ask you a question. I like your shiurim. You read a lot. I can tell you always have a million books. My daughter is going through a very bad divorce. And the ex-husband sort of disappeared. And he left a lot of stuff in her house. And she's trying to get rid of all his stuff. And he's not answering. She's texting him and calling him. He's not responding. And so she asked the rabbi what she's supposed to do. And the rabbi said, send him a message, write him a letter, give him 2-3 shots, and write in the notice. I forgot exactly what she said, but if you do not respond to this message by Tuesday, I consider it all hefked, and I'm going to do it with it whatever I please. Whether this is right or wrong, halakha is not my thing. This is what the lady's telling me. And so she says the guy never answered. And so it's time to get rid of all his stuff. So first of all, would you like an etrog box? I said, I would love an etrog box. Thank you. So I actually have that etrog box. She says, second of all, he has a lot of sifarim. A lot of sifarim. He doesn't know what to do with it. I said, how much is a lot of sifarim? I know what a lot of sifarim are. What does he have? 20 books? 30 books? She's like, hundreds of books. I'm like, hundreds of books? She said, they're all in my house. Her daughter brought them all to the mom's house, and she set up, as they say in Yiddish, farm trunks, bookshelves in her patio full of books. She said, please, can you come? Do you want them? Or do you know what to do with them? I said, sure, I'll come. So I came over her house. I come to her house, and she takes me to the back. I meet her husband, I know them. And she says, look at all these sifarim. And she's telling me about the divorce, and not the prettiest things about this guy. Something's not adding up. This guy's like a scholar or something. He's got more books than I do. Anyway, she says, please, do you want some of these books, or can you find a shul that wants them? I said, let me look at the books. I go and look at the set shelves. Entire set, Yalkut Yosef. Entire set. But that's like $350. I have it in my house. One set. 2 sets. 2 entire sets, Yalkut Yosef. Who has 2 entire sets of Yalkut Yosef in their house? Nach. Mikaoke Delot Nach. It's a 21 book set, maybe? 2 of them. I say, I have Yalkut Yosef. I have almost every set I need. I don't have a Nach set with Mikaoke Delot. I always wanted one. I'll take the Nach set. A whole Mishnah Be'ura. I said, okay, I have one already, but maybe my son wants to learn with me. I'll take the Mishnah Be'ura. I said, Zohar. I mean, tons of Sifarim. Finally, I stopped putting some books in my car, and the little voice inside my head is saying, something's wrong here. I don't know what's going on here. This is not normal. And so I said, hold on one second. Where are these books from? I said, my daughter said they're from her ex. I said, oh, no. No random dude has these types of books in his house. He wasn't a rabbi? No. I said, time to inspect the cover of every book. And so I start opening the covers of all the books, trying to look for names. Maybe these books come from somewhere. Finally, I see a stamp in one of the books. And I don't remember exactly what it says, but it had like a Los Angeles or Orthodox synagogue, whatever, like an old looking, I don't know the name. I didn't recognize the name. So I Googled it. Google says closed. I go find another one. I see another stamp. Bet Midrash, whatever it is, or Yechezkel of Los Angeles. I Google it, closed. I find another one, another stamp. I Google it, I get a phone number. I call the number. Some guy answers the phone. I don't know his name. I still don't know his name. Some guy answers the phone. Hello? Like a regular guy. I said, is this Orthodox Los Angeles Temple of, he says, what? I said, I'm sorry, I have a long story to tell you. Maybe you could help me out. I have a lot of books here. I don't know where these books came from. I'm pretty sure they're not the person's books that claim to be. He said, read me the stamps from, I said, I found a few. He said, read me the other stamps. I start telling him, he said, I know what these books are. He says, all these books, they belong to one person. They all belong to Rabbi Dweck from Los Angeles City. Rabbi Dweck. I said, really? I know Rabbi Dweck. He was Misader Makidushin. He married me and my wife off. He got the long red beard. I studied with him in his house before I got married. I love that man. He actually has a son that's a rabbi in Deal, New Jersey, where I live. Beautiful. Thank you for the lead. I'll call Rabbi Dweck. I still don't know who that guy was. I call Rabbi Dweck. I said, Rabbi Dweck, how's it been? A long time? No, it's me. He said, it's been forever. How you doing? I said, listen, I got something crazy to tell you. I have a lot of your books. He said, you found my books? I said, what is going on here? He says, we had a falling out at the synagogue. There was an issue with the landlord. Long story short, we got evicted overnight without notice, and everything was dumped on the sidewalk, including all my books. And so by the time I got there in the morning, 70% of everything was already gone. I said, wow. I said, who do these books belong to, Rabbi? He said, they belong to me. When we started the shul, I brought a lot of books from my house, and we had a Tanai. All the books, if this ever dissolves, belong to the rabbi. They're my books. I said, Rabbi, I found the gold mine. Yeah, I got a lot of books here. He says, tell me, you see my green Zohar? I've been looking for my green Zohar for years. It's from my grandfather. I said, Rabbi, I'm holding the green Zohar in my hands. He says, pick me up. I don't drive. Can someone pick me up? I said, hold on one second. I told the husband of the woman. He said, I'll go get the rabbi right now. So her and her husband pile in the car and go get the rabbi. I'm sitting there with all these books. All right. Rabbi Dweck comes from the city. I give him a big hug because I haven't seen him in a while. I said, how are you? He says, you found my Zohar, my Zohar, my Zohar. It's my grandpa's Zohar. Now he's like a Kabbalistic rabbi. I said, come, look at the books. He starts caressing the books. He said, oh, my father gave this to me. My grandfather used to read this book. I said, Rabbi, I have some in my car. Let me go take them out. We'll bring them to your house. He said, I can't bring all these books home at my house. He said, what do you have in your car? A Nach. You have two of them. I said, I have a Mishnah Berurah set. He says, take it, take it. He said, I just want some books that mean a lot to me personally, like my Zohar, a couple of books from my father. I said, you got it. He said, what do you want, the Nach set? Take the Nach set. I took the Nach set. Finally, after like a half hour, we're talking. He says, you know what, Max, take them all. Take them all. I had my moment. I reunited with my Sefarim. He had one book in his hand, one green Zohar book. He said, all I want is this one. Everything else, take it, study with your boys. Use it in good health. Learn. And he said, are you sure? He says, take it all. I have my peace. He drove all the way in the city, from the city. I told the lady, I said, okay, I'm going to take what I can. And what I can't, I'll find a place to take it. I started making some phone calls. I found a shul that was just opening. Our shul here, we didn't need any of the books there. I found a shul that was opening. I gave them the books that I didn't want in my house. I took another whole set, Yalkut Yosef, to learn with my boys. I took some other things. And I took this set. Now, what is this set? I know what these books are. I just never learned them. They're from the Hafetz Haim. I took this set. I took a few other sets that I've never gotten to yet. I didn't buy them, but I took them to learn one day because they're the rabbi that married me off. And so that's why they're sitting on the top shelf, never opened by me. Okay? Now, this happens to be the one that's upside down. Torah Tabayit. So as I'm about to put it back, I said, not nice. Aib, as we say. I have to read from the book. I never read the book. And so I said, let me open the book to any page. And I see a bookmark. Something's bookmarking the book. Guys, the bookmark is a picture of a baby. Now, it's not my baby. It must be Rabbi Dweck's baby. Now, I want to tell you something. I have yet to tell Rabbi Dweck this story. I mean to. I just had the baby last week. The bookmark is a baby holding a Mickey Mouse. I said, oh my goodness, okay. This is the page I'm going to read. And so I read the page, and it says over here, Mekod Nishmatan Shel Yisrael, the source of the Nishamot of the Jewish people. Yadua Shuhu Demala Esel Kisei Kevodo Leberach. Don't you know where the source of these Nishamot come from? All the way from the throne of Hashem. Umisham Ad Lekan Hu Rahok Elef Alfei Alafim Pe'amim Kacha. Do you know how far it is? They travel down, the souls, from Hashem's throne down here into the human body. The whole purpose of being born, and coming to this world, such a far way to travel down to earth. The soul is sent from above, only to learn Hashem's Torah. Adam the person is created to work, to toil. Amalo shel Torah, you have to study. And therefore, make sure you don't waste your life, he says, and study Torah even in the house. That's why it's called Torah Tabayit, the Torah in the house. So Hashem, I know you're sending this baby from a very far place. I got the message. I got to learn more at home. Message received. I go to put the book back, and I'm like, you know what? Not nice. What about the other ones? It's not nice. It's not nice to Hafetz Haim. When I read the Pirashah and I made 15 mistakes the next morning, you know what? And so I said, you know what? I got to open each book and read one page. I'm opening all these books now. It's 11:30 at night already. On Friday night, I'm tired. I'm going to open every one of these books from this set, read one blurb, and go to sleep. And so I open the next one. There's a bookmark in this book. Guys, I brought you the show and tell. It's a baby girl. What is this? You know what's going on here? You know what this is doing to me on Friday night, all alone? And this page basically is saying Hafez Chaim was a very big champion of learning the Seder Kodashim, all about the Korbanot. He was a Kohen. And so he's saying no one's learning the Kodashim. That was actually one of the things he championed. In the yeshiva world, they're all learning Baba Kama, Baba Batra, Baba Metzia. No one's learning Kodashim, Korbanot. And so he was like, you have to learn Kodashim. I said, message received. I'm not going to read you the whole page. I learned Kodashim. I said, next one, please. Let this one be easier. So I opened this book. Guess what? There's a bookmark in this one too. There's a bookmark. It's not a picture. It's a coffee bean and tea leaf napkin. This is how you know I'm not making any of this up. Now, he scribbled something on here. That's a whole other story. I'm trying to figure out I have to ask him what he scribbled. Well, I didn't crack that code yet. And so I said, all right, Rabbi Dweck, I'm going to read this one too. And he says, the da'od, you should know. This that we say in the Gemara, haragil b'tzedakah, someone who gives a lot of charity, haviyalo banim, will have children. Kol ze dafka in em biyado davrim hama'akivim l'nyan zeh. That's only if you have nothing holding you back from having children. God forbid if someone's doing avonot or sins, then just because you gave charity, it's not necessarily going to happen. And he goes on to say how giving charity will help someone who's having children, even if they're having a hard time. It says over here, Hesed, mishpat, and tzedakah, kindness and charity and judgment and righteousness. Elo hashilosha devarim, these three things, sigulatam sheyelo gamken todot haguf banim mamash, will be a sigula to have children. V'lo yimahesh shemo min ha'olam, you will not leave this world empty-handed. V'lachen afilu imhu seris adam, even if you can't have children. Or shenolad seris hama she'en betif'od liklal, or you can't have children physically, or she'adivrim, or any other thing happening, kehad gavna, like this, shenigzar ala min hashamayim, that there was a gezerah on you from heaven, abur ezi enyan shelo yoldi, that you shouldn't have children. Mikol makom misayim elo hadivrim ha'ikarim, these things will help charity. Shehem todot nafsho. Message received. Message received. And so I called my mother back. So what I say? Mordechai. Yeah. So I told myself, okay, Chesed Fund, WhatsApp, help charity, this thing for Israel, that thing. I usually give a couple of bucks. I try. But I said, charity, I got it. Kodshim, I have to learn Kodshim. The other one was what? I have to learn in the house. I got it. I said, after Shabbat, when I turn my phone on, the first 3 or 4 Chesed funds, they're each getting at least $50. I don't even know who they are, whatever. They're getting more than I usually give, which I did. I called my mom. And I said, Mom, you and your books, you and your sigulot, you're killing me here, Mom. We go Thursday for the appointment, and they hook her up to the bed because they're going to schedule the procedure. I said something to Elim, and I said to the doctor, I said, hold on 1 second. Before we start, could you check one more time to make sure the baby is not breached? She says, sure. She plugs in the machine. She puts the thing. She says, look, your baby is perfectly fine. Now you know why I named her Rivka. We have closed the book of Bereshit. I'm going to miss our foremothers and our forefathers. I'm going to miss them. We have to cherish everything they said. Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. We're going now to Shemot. We have to understand every word of our leaders, the people that came before us, are precious. They may not even know what they're saying, but the power to help us, they have. Ma'aseh avot siman habanim. Have a nice week, everyone. See you next time.